Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charnley. This is another Shropshire church. This is St Mary's, Acton Round. It's originally a Norman church, the oldest parts of 12th century. The Normans had quite a devotion to the Virgin Mary, and so a lot of Norman churches, by no means all, but quite a lot, are dedicated to her. In this case, as with so many, it's a little Shropshire church up in the hills beyond Much Wenlock, and it's been altered over the centuries. The chancel was rebuilt in the 14th century. There is an 18th century memorial mortuary chapel, and what we'll see as we go around the various features belonging to various periods. So without further ado, let's have a look around. We begin, of course, at the west end, at the back of the church. You can see their nice solid pulpit, perhaps 17th century. Over the door is the Millennium Tympanum, which is supposed to indicate the daily life in a rural Shropshire parish over 20 years ago now, which is a bit of a shock for those of us who remember all the planning for the millennium, and also especially those of us who remember when the year 2000 was supposed to be this relatively far off and distant future. We have the font. The font here is fairly plain. It's a bit of a tub type, not I think Norman, but probably 14th century. Here we have the memorial chapel, the mortuary chapel. This is a lovely piece of 18th century work. You have here certainly some sort of India/Chinese Oriental type references and things that are creeping into neoclassicism. You also got these nice cast iron tracery here. This is the memorial to Sir Whitmore Acton of Aldenham Baronet, who departed this life January the 8th, 1731, in the 56th year of his age, namely with his wife, who died April 27th, 1750, in the 76th year of her age. And so you have, because the Acton family, for whom the village is named. The round bit, of course, is distinguished from the other Actons and has led to a baseless rumour that the church at one point was circular. There's no evidence of that at all. It just appears to be a rumour. Here we have Memorial Stephen Humphreys, 1786 to 1865, a Royal Marine who took part in the Battle of Trafalgar. Nice, simple benches. There surely must have been at some point a box pew for the family. It's so close to the big house. Here we have the memorial to the Reverend W.R. Jones, late minister of this parish, who departed this life 29th of September 1832, aged 60 years. And so we proceed towards the chancel. We have here a memorial to Sir Richard Acton of Aldenham Baronet, died 1791, aged 80. And his wife, the Lady Anne Acton, daughter of the Right Honourable Harry, Earl of Stamford, who died October 10th, 1784. Some recovered medieval floor tiles. We're not very far from Much Wenlock here, so medieval floor tiles would be quite useful. The arch, chancel arch, appears to be 19th century Victorian. Chancel itself, I say, is 14th century. We have Reverend J. Gibson, B.A., TCD, 42 years at vicar of this parish. It was cost the church was repaired. He died March the 13th, 1893, aged 80 years. And here we have the best memorial in the entire church, in my opinion. This is see his name, Richard Acton, son of Sir Walter Acton of Alden and Baronet, and he died at 1703. It's about right. I mean, it's late 17th, early 18th century costume. There he is with his wife. He's buried, in fact, buried in London at St Peter's, Cornhill. Although his wife is shown here, she is not buried here. Presumably she remarried, and is buried with her second husband. And you see the beautiful carving here, even the lace on her dress and his cravat. It's a beautiful example of sculpture of the period, and that you get in that period these sculptures that are very finely done, the hair, the clothes, and you see she's holding a prayer book and they're holding hands. The altar, it is an altar table, holy, 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 Victorian. We've got just tiles around the sanctuary, probably made locally. There's a tilery not very far away from here, near Ironbridge. The east window is stained glass, but it's patterned rather than figurative, and it's all very plain. You've got a nice OG archway there, all very plain. See above the west window, that's the underside of the belfry. There's a plaster ceiling there. It's a lovely little country church, this. So it's not a big village, so the church can be very small and yet have these grand memorials in it. And there, as I say, the pulpit, probably 17th century, and just the 3 windows in the nave and 1 in the chancel, plus of course the windows in the mortuary chapel, and 2 bells, a ding and a dong. So that's the inside, really. And here we are outside at Acton Round. You can see this very typical smaller church with a boarded belfry at the west end. It has got electricity. You can see the electricity cable above my head. And it's a very simple building. The nave is still substantially Norman, the chancel still substantially 14th century, and then of course you've got the 18th century chapel. It's something of a hilltop site, so it has good views to the north and to the south, and we'll see some of that as we go around the outside here. Although this is, I say, very much associated with the country house, it was, as we can see from inside, when it mentions Aldenham, it was very much a sort of secondary seat rather than being a primary seat, so the building is relatively simple. The porch is medieval. It was originally open. It's now had the sides filled in, and was it in 2018 that it was properly attached to the church? It was kind of semi-detached before then. So we'll have a look around. We'll go around the north side and avoid the barking of the local dog, and see the view from here. Just that, you can see the view is absolutely spectacular. You just look down from this spur down into the valley there, and then the valley the other side. There's a church you see there, the mortuary chapel with its big 18th century Gothic windows and cast iron tracery. That would have been made, I expect, at Culbrookdale local iron foundry. So all the materials, even the posher ones, are going to be fairly local, and it's showing off something of the local industry. And again, this wonderful view out. There's a bench for those who want to sit out and look at the view. It's a marvellous location, not very far from much Wenlock, but it does very much feel like you are in the middle of nowhere, which to some extent you are. So we'll just head over here, partly because It's quite a good view, of course. And partly you can then look back at the church, and you see there again that mortuary chapel that sticks out there. And beyond there's I suspect that is the old parsonage there, but the mortuary chapel again, relatively simple. It's local rubble stonework, which is, say, quite typical around here. It's nice solid stone, not like some places where you've got to sandstone through roads rapidly. Nice to be 14th century or later windows, that effect. See the difference between the 18th century and the medieval type window. And then you've got here that join between the chancel and up there to the belfry. Belfry has the traditional weathercock on. That's the weather vane in the shape of a cockerel. There we have the triple lancet east window on the outside. Hard to tell the date of this sort of thing. And then round here we have this, and this is 18th century again, the OG top there of the priest's door, and there again up to the weathercock. And the idea being that the vane that shows the direction of the wind, and there's that porch. You see, it's originally open, which is a funny thing to do with a porch, because normally you'd think porches would be quite. You can just see over there, just the top of the big house. But it's a very handsome church here. So you have a long relationship with the big house, because you do with these churches, these country churches. And there you see the simple woodwork of the porch, and then that door there. So we've come all the way around now to the south side again. So there we have it, Acton Round, St Mary's. Well, thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time. And I need to watch out for the sheep being moved around at the moment.